Let me preface this by saying I'm not now, nor have I ever been, a fan of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Yeah, I used to watch the show back in the day. It came on uh, in a block with Tailspin, another show I was never a fan of. I used to watch those shows to power through to get the shows I wanted to watch. So when this trailer started hitting the internet, I didn't care. I saw one of them was 2D animation, one of them was CGI. I said, that's stupid. I'm not going to watch this. You know, I had no kind of interest in this. I was seeing reviews and reactions to certain stuff that happens in this movie. And one of those caught my eye. A certain cameo. There are so many cameos. Cameos even you wouldn't believe this is a Disney movie, but yeah. And one of those cameos caught my eye, and immediately I was like, okay, I'll watch it. I'll see what the fuss is about. I'll see why in the blue hell this entity is in this movie. Okay, and I'm gonna try and do this as they say, mullet style. Review on the front, spoilers in the back. I'll try. So yeah, um, and the cameo I wanted to see was right there at the beginning too. You know, uh, for someone who's from the '90s, I appreciate that cameo. Uh, it's MC Scat Cat, by the way. I think it's gonna, yeah. First he started up on American Dad, now he's in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Is he making a comeback? If he drops another album, I'll be scared. Because he was a part of the '90s in every single way, from his appearance to his music, all that. And he's in there with Paul Abdul. They're reunited, but they don't do the whole opposite the track. Instead, he's a DJ. He's singing Heavy D and the Boys, Night That We Found Love. I'll take it. I will take it. Uh, and rest in peace to Heavy D and Trouble T. Roy. Yeah, and that was the first of many cameos in this thing. So my biggest worry about this movie was that it was going to be a retelling of some of the episodes of the show. And again, I'm not a fan. And by the way, I don't have a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers shirt. What what I do have is the Wasp from Marvel, because that's Disney, right? Whatever. So yeah, and so this is not a retelling of one of the episodes, although they're always calling back those episodes by number and title. Some of the callbacks are fictional, some of them are from actual episodes. That's good work on their part, and I'm sure actual fans love that. You know, based on some of the reviews I saw, actual fans do love that. You know, uh, so yeah, and this basically takes place after the show, which I liked. That intrigued me. Okay, Chip and Dale, you first meet them as kids, you know, they become cool, they become actors, they make that show. Show goes off the air, and Dale, I believe, but winds up getting a solo movie deal for some 007 movie, Double O Dale or something, and Chip's like, what? You know? And that's how they split, and then you follow them, their separate lives for a while, and neither one of them are truly, you know how it goes. They say they're happy, but we know they're not, because they're not Chip and Dale. They're Chip, and over here somewhere is Dale. Okay, so yeah, and basically one of the characters from the show is kidnapped, and they gotta go try and find him. And this takes them all over the place, meeting so many interesting characters, both cameos and new characters, and slowly but surely this reunites the whole Chip and Dale cast. All right, and Chip and Dale are voiced by Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, which I noticed. I'm like, these aren't the original. I'm not a fan, but even I can tell them not the original voices. But Gadget, always loved her. That's her OG voice actress, Tress MacNeille. And I'm a huge fan of Tress MacNeille. I've been watching Futurama, ironically, a lot lately, like a whole lot. She's all over that show. She's all over The Simpsons, which is a show I've been watching over 25 years at this point. You know, longer than that, actually. So, yeah, I'm familiar with her work. And so it was great hearing her voice again in something that's not like a old episode of Futurama or Simpsons or whatever. or new episode of Simpsons. Yeah, and Gadget was, I believe, she was my favorite character. And when she showed up, I actually got her marked out and heard that voice, a familiar voice. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'll admit, they do play the theme song in the opening to the old show, and I had a giant smile all on my face throughout the entire thing. Because admittedly, I'm not a fan of the show, but that was a very catchy ass theme song. Chip and Dale. You know, I'll admit that. It's better than the Tailspin theme song, but I mean, I watched that show because Baloo was in it, and of course the Power Through. Speaking of which, he's one of the cameos. And yes, he does sing a bit of Bare Necessities. It's great. Uh, so yeah, and I think there were crossover episodes between the two. I don't remember. It's been a minute. Anyway, but yeah, so that's the story. They're trying to find this other character from the show, the cheese dude, whose name slips me. Uh, like it means less to me now than it did then because I'm super lactose intolerant now. So the cheese soaks just, you know. Uh, but yeah, and I'm being honest here, and yeah, and the movie is surprisingly funny. So much so that it made my job harder. Okay, every time I made a joke or started to, they made it before me. Like literally the same damn joke. Okay, like at the beginning, I'm like, okay, so what they did was they looked at Space Jam: A New Legacy, and they're like, don't do that. And then they looked at Roger Rabbit, and they're like, okay, do that. And before I could finish that, they point him. There he is, and they point him out too. I'm like, damn it, okay. And that kept happening too. And like, come on. And and not only is the character missing, but the plot is basically all these cartoon characters, established cartoon characters, are being kidnapped and being forced to make these bootleg versions of their own shit, their own movies, and that happens. Bootleg, fake versions of movies, cartoons, not just cartoons actually. Okay, what the? There it is. Yeah, somebody made a bootleg of this movie, a rip-off, shall I say, of this movie. Okay, I mean, look at this cover. It's the same cover, and look at the back of it. All right, that's Godzilla '98. Okay, you see Godzilla. I mean Zilla. The back of Reptilian. There's Young Airy. Okay, the same thing. So that was a pretty that happens. You know, that was a pretty good plot line for a movie like this. And when I opened up my Disney Plus to watch this, they asked me if I wanted to make my account MA, and I said hell yes. And I didn't know that was for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers because another joke that I was gonna make was like I was sitting there like Chip and Dale, Chip and Dale. It kind of sounds like and then fucking Chip and Dale show up. Come on, man, it's getting ahead of me. I think there's a hooker joke or something like wow. But yeah, and that's the plot. And the antagonist is Peter Pan, a grown-up adult Peter Pan. And look, I haven't seen that movie in years, but I'm pretty sure his whole thing is he doesn't grow up because he doesn't want to grow up. He's a kid permanently, right? So how's your grown man here? Like I know Robin Williams played the adult Peter Pan back in the '90s. That was like a whole other thing, and it's also maybe just a small hint sad because I feel like if he were still here, he would have came back for this, you know. But yeah, and so Peter Pan is the antagonist. Uh, it's crazy. It really is. And yeah, 9 minutes. Okay, because I don't have too much time here. Now the spoilers because I need to talk about this because uh, anyone who knows me knows my greatest fear and my all-time greatest hero. Okay, yes, the two are commonly on the list, even Watch Mojo's list of top 10 good aliens of all time. What's my greatest hero all time? Gets me through a lot, even to this day. What's my greatest fear? And I found out still my greatest fear to this day. In this movie, decided to go ahead and give me one of these, okay, and piss me off by making my all time favorite superhero who gets me through stuff still into my greatest fear. And they had this motherfucker play him too. Okay. Like there's a they pull in I Am Legend, alright. You know, they had the Batman and Superman in the back. They did that here. Except instead of Batman and Superman, it's Batman versus E.T. the extraterrestrial. I saw that in the background. I was like, okay, that's alright, whatever. And a few scenes later, there's a payoff. That's the running joke that movie sucked, and the whole Martha thing. Yeah, I was there. I remember I saw it in theaters. It sucked in theaters too. Okay, what I didn't need was E.T. the extraterrestrial playing the role of Superman. I didn't need that. I did not need that. The heat vision and everything, and when you do the Martha thing, I'm actually shivering. Okay, because E.T.'s voice is one of the reasons he freaks me the fuck out. And you know, he has some lines, and I'm tearing up too. Who would do such a thing? Ugh. Oh man. And yeah, he has some lines, and he basically paraphrases himself from that Michael Jackson song he have, where he goes, "You friend." No, he basically does that, and Batman goes, "All right," and that's it. And by the way, you can't tell, like, it's supposed to be Batfleck, but there's no facial features or nothing, just pitch black. Okay, like he's wearing Bruce Wayne's cowl, but it's Terry McGinnis in the mouth. You can't see his skin or nothing. So yeah, and then so like Dale is watching it and he's like, "Yeah, that was dumb." And I'm just like, "You have no fucking idea." That was the biggest slap to the face one can give me. I'm literally tearing up right now. Because who would do such a thing? Who would do that? Who the hell would do that? I tell you, E.T., the extraterrestrial haunted by nightmares as a kid, that is no fallacy. That is a fact. Okay, there are so many people who can verify that, and that he freaks me the fuck out to this day. Yeah, I can watch this movie alone at night with every door closed, but he still freaks me out. And the fact they made him Superman, that just hurt. Okay, that hurt. That really hurt. Ugh. And that is my least favorite cameo in this movie. Yes, that one. I thought it would be the return of Ugly Sonic, but turns out no. He got redeemed. Yeah. So he's in this at like some kind of Comic Con thing. That's where Baloo is at, and like other characters who look kind of vaguely familiar. You know, and you know, and so Dale meets Ugly Sonic. That's what he's called in this. And Ugly Sonic, he owns it. By the way, he owns the whole Ugly Sonic thing. He knows what he is. And I made a joke when that first trailer came out for Sonic the Hedgehog. I made a joke in that one scene where James Marsters finds Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic screams. I said, "What the ET shit is that?" And now here we are, the two are in the same damn movie together. What is that? It was right out of ET. They're doing movies together. What is this hell? So yeah, and it turns out Ugly Sonic is pretty funny in this one. And there's a point where it's towards the end, and he calls up Ugly Sonic. He's like, "Hey, we need your help, and you gotta be quick." And he's like, "So you want me to go fast?" And he's like, "Yeah." And even I'm starting to mark out like, "What? Wait a minute. I'm more of a Mario fan, but I like Sonic." So I'm like, "Uh-oh." And then he says, "Oh yeah, I don't do that. That's Sonic's thing. I don't go fast. That's not me." And proceeds to take his fucking time to help him, and it's hilarious. Oh man, it really is. People are saying he's been redeemed. Okay, sir. and the cameos aren't just known characters. Like they're characters that look like they're from something else. Like towards the end, towards the beginning, there's this character who looks like he's right out of The Simpsons. And towards the end, when all the ripoffs get loose, you actually see rip off Homer Simpson and Marge and everybody trying to recreate the entrance, and they actually stick to the Tracy Ullman style of the original shorts and episodes for the ripoffs. Thought that was pretty clever. Speaking of ripoffs, once again, I made a joke and they actually beat me to it. And it's really kind of impressed though, because early on somebody goes, "Well, this is bonkers." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I saw Roger Rabbit. Will bonkers show up? Probably not. That'd be hilarious given what the movie's about." Lo and behold, at the end, Bonkers has a cameo. He's one of the ripoffs, but he's just Bonkers. That's so fucking hilarious because he was a ripoff of Roger Rabbit, like 100%. Even when Mickey Mouse showed up on his show, it was a literal voice cameo. It was a cartoon, but it was a literal like Mickey's voice, like he was trapped in a box or something. So you only heard his voice. This is how this is how little people care about Bonkers. Mickey Mouse gonna be bothered to actually fully show up on his show. Okay, and Bonkers is in this for a brief blip. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. As a ripoff, like it's like they knew. Disney's owned up to it. Fucking 20 some years later. Like yeah. And then the cameo in the credits. But I enjoyed. And if he gets a movie, I'm down. I'm so down. Darkwing Duck shows up in the best cameo ever. He's like, Chip and Dale, whatever. No, you want Darkwing Duck, Darkwing Duck, Darkwing. He starts chanting Darkwing Duck, and I'm chanting with him. I'm like, hell yeah, that's a cartoon I love. Like, yeah, so that was pretty awesome. This movie surprised me in multiple different ways. Scared the hell out of me in some ways. Made me laugh in some ways. Uh, nostalgic even in some ways. Dare I say, as a non-fan of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie ain't that bad. Go watch it on Disney Plus. Yeah, it is a good time.